Recording in progress.
Okay, welcome everyone to our September 10th, 2024, 2 o'clock Commissioner Consent Agenda meeting. Let the record reflect that all 5 commissioners are present. There is no written comment that was received for items that are on today's agenda, and so I'm going to ask everyone to stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. That's going to then take us to our open public forum. So I will open the open public forum for today, and I do have one person who has signed up. So Becky Dickerhoff.
Push the non-red.
Thank you.
Becky Dickerhoff, Spokane City. Spokane County students have returned to their classroom in the past few weeks, a place where they often find a haven, a refuge, a steady meal, and routine that gives them hope for their future. But not every student returns to a home, a safe place, a place where they can thrive. Spokane Trends reported during the 2023-2024 school year, 2,378 students were documented as homeless in Spokane County. That is down from a high of 3,217 during the 2012-2013 school year. The rate of homeless students per thousand in Spokane County was higher than the state average. 225 students in the Cheney District, 220 students in East Valley, 197 in West Valley, 1,375 in Spokane City District, 267 in Central Valley, 66 in Deer Park, 18 in the Freeman District, 1 student in Liberty Schools, 1 student at the Spokane International Academy, 468 students in Meade School District, 55 students in Medical Lake, 105 students in Newport Schools, 14 students in 9 Mile Falls, 9 students at Reardon Edweld District, 48 students in Riverside, and 7 students of Rosalia School District, as reported by the Washington Office of the Superintendent of Public Instruction. 4 out of 19 school districts in Spokane County did not report homeless students during the 2023-2024 school year. The only thing these students have in common is they did not cause their homelessness. We cannot blame a child for conditions beyond their control. They are often the collateral damage in an abusive relationship. They are often the collateral damage of job downsizing, company relocation, or financial disaster. Parents are doing what they can to make their child's life return to normal. They struggle to find family or friends who are willing to take in their child so they can continue to attend their school. They locate an RV within the school district so the child can continue with teachers and friends they know. School districts do what they can to ensure homeless students can be transported to their home school, the one standard in the child's life that will keep the trauma to a minimum. Homelessness is a county-wide issue. County residents need help securing affordable housing. Parents struggle to find a job or home in the district. The county commissioners have the ability to fund housing in all communities in Spokane County. They have the ability to create more affordable housing throughout the county. I am here today to ask the county commissioners to enact what is commonly referred to as a 1590 tax. This ordinance, which amended RCW 82.14.530, allows the county legislative authority to impose a sales and use tax not to exceed 0.1% of the selling price in the case of a sales tax or value of the article used in case of a use tax. Thank you.
Thank you. So this is our open public forum time, and we still have some more time. Is there anyone else in the audience or online that would like to speak at our open public forum? Third and final call for anyone wishing to speak at our open public forum. Seeing no one in the audience and no one online, I will close the open public forum, and we will start with our proclamation.
Madam Chair, I would like to read this proclamation in the form of a motion.
Whereas sports participation has been an integral part of American society for centuries and is an instrumental part of national life today. And whereas sports officials are known as the neutral arbiters of American athletics and instill fairness, impartiality, implement rules, and provide valuable lessons of sportsmanship and teamwork. And whereas many sports officials volunteer their time or receive only minimal compensation and participate to teach children's lessons that are learned through participating in sports. And whereas sports officials are critical in every athletic contest and every effort should be made to support sports officials in carrying out their duties. And whereas sports officials who give their time and energy to officiate games deserve the collective respect of Spokane County citizens and must have public support in creating a safe and secure environment for participants, coaches, and officials. And whereas, as a society, Spokane County citizens must act on the belief that respect for authority, whether on the field of athletics or in life overall, is critical to living, working, and playing together in a civil society governed by the rule of law. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of County Commissioners of Spokane County, Washington, on behalf of our citizens, express appreciation to all sports officials in recreational and school programs for their efforts to ensure good sportsmanship and highlight positive behavior, do hereby proclaim the month of September 2024 as Sports Officials Appreciation Month in Spokane County, dated the 10th day of September 2024, signed the Board of County Commissioners.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Before we take our vote, and then Mr. West will have you come up, I do want to just say thank you so much. You and I have talked about this for several years, so I'm glad that we could make this happen today, because I do think it's really important that we show that respect, especially in today's environment, to the sports officials. So any other comments before I take the vote? Commissioner Waldrop.
Well, I appreciate this very much as well, and as a parent of a child that will be playing tonight at a gym in Spokane, I really do appreciate the sports officials. I think we have taken it for granted so long that it is a lot of work, and we need to offer that continued respect and support for that work. So thank you, and I just also want to thank you for your service as a probation officer at the City of Spokane.
Okay. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Mr. West, if you'd like to come and speak to the proclamation, then we'll take your picture, so you've got to stay with us.
Thank you so much, Chair, County Commissioners. Thank you for your consideration in the honor of this proclamation supporting sports officials. For those of you who don't know my story, I am Bob West, and I was a referee that was headbutted in 1996 by a high school wrestler here in Washington and knocked unconscious. As a result of this vicious attack, I had to give up my officiating career and have undergone 4 neck surgeries. These attacks continue at an alarming rate, and we are losing many sports officials as a result. Since that attack, I have been an advocate locally and at the national level and have spread the word of sportsmanship on several talk shows. In 2003, the Washington State Legislature passed House Resolution number 2003-4636, recognizing the decline of sportsmanship, the importance of fair play, and contributions of sports officials. In 2023, 35,813 sports officials took a survey with the National Association of Sports Officials. 677 of them were from the state of Washington. Close to 70% believe sportsmanship is getting worse, and over half stated they felt unsafe or feared for their safety. I would like to thank Commissioner Cooney for her shepherding this proclamation along with the other commissioners. Another shout out would be for Rich Shergy, who is in the audience, who is the assigning secretary for the Inland Northwest Wrestling Association, who has been instrumental in supporting our efforts along with the other sports organizations and officials that might be here today. A special thank you to my daughter, the past Deputy Mayor of Spokane Valley, for her resources in accompanying me to Olympia to testify on last year's House Bill 2079, which recognized sports officials and addressed the ever-growing issues of assaults, harassment, and epidemic of the loss of these officials to watch over our games. Because of the short session, it passed the House unanimously 97-0, which is unheard of, but it stalled in the Senate committee. I also authored a book called Rage on the Field and have a copy, which each of you have at your places, chronicling the incident and issues surrounding sportsmanship. I will be bringing this legislation during the next session in Olympia again, together with the backing of State Representative Suzanne Schmidt and Marcus Riccelli and others. And lastly, thank you from the bottom of my heart of this honor and you recognizing sports officials. Thank you.
If you would stay, we're going to, we're going to come down and give you the proclamation and take a picture. Yes. So we are going to take item 8B separately today, or we're going to discuss it separately before we take a motion on our consent agenda. So Justin, if you're, there I see you back there. Justin Johnson, our Community Services Director, if you'd like to come down so you could speak to 8B, which is on our agenda today.
Thank you, Commissioners, Madam Chair. 8B represents a lot of hard work by the Community Services Department and the commitment by the Board of County Commissioners to address the challenges associated with substance abuse and the opioid epidemic in the community. So we're excited that we're able to put forward this resolution that will guarantee another investment into addressing the needs, specifically as it applies to mothers, guardians, and infants impacted by neonatal absence syndrome and the effects of substance use involvement by providing long-term treatment support and housing support through their integrated services, as well as the long-term benefit of the families in a stable and recovery-based setting. And so this investment represents not only a lot of different investments the commissioners have committed themselves to, so we're excited about all of those opportunities, but also represents an ongoing investment in Maddie's Place and the work that they're doing there. So a big thank you to the Board of County Commissioners for their continued support, their commitment and heart for the community to address the needs that exist, and then also for the ongoing investments to address the opioid epidemic that'll be forthcoming. So little teaser for that. But without further ado, I'll turn it over to Sean Cross, CEO of Maddie's Place, and some guests that he brought with him to share their thank you as well.
Great.
Thank you, Justin.
Thank you.
What a thrill to be here today. I can't thank you enough for the County Commission's support for what we're doing at Maddie's Place. The trajectory continues to be remarkable in the number of individuals whose lives we've changed. 91 infants to date and 67 parents. It's the thrill of my life at this stage of my life to be seeing the kind of impact that it's having, and you have played a critical role in your support this past year. We're excited because this proposal, if passed, this resolution will enable us to close on a 0.9 acre acquisition of property that's immediately to the east of our current facility that will allow us, and we'll be closing on October 1st on or about. And this will enable us to really expand the services that we're providing, the therapeutic services that we're providing, the comfort that we're providing to these infants and to these parents in an expanded way with housing and additional support. So it means the world. We wouldn't be able to do this without what you're passing. This would not happen this on October 1st without that. So anyway, I want to introduce really what this is all about. We have 67 parents whose lives have been totally changed by what's happening at Maddie's Place. David Aga, who will speak a little bit, is one of those individuals who, as we were coming into this room, pointed out to me how long he spent in the jail here in his past life and in various jails his past life, over 5 years, as an IV drug user for 19 years. His story, personally, we won't have time probably to cover all today. It's extraordinary. And their daughter, Kayla, his partner here, who will also speak briefly, their daughter, Deborah, we had the opportunity to take care of her last July for about 6 weeks. They were still on the street and still out in the community using. We're not at our facility, but they watched what was happening with their child, and our support services that the county has been supporting, our peer review mom's team, and that wrapped them with lots of love and support, and it's changed their lives totally. They're both full-time employees at Maddie's Place. They're impacting others who are coming to Maddie's Place. They're housed, they have a car, they have another beautiful child, and their story is remarkable, much more than I can say. So here's David.
First and foremost, I want to say thank you guys for everything you guys are doing for us. Would not be possible without you guys. Like Sean said, my story is very, very long, but to wrap it up in just a couple of minutes, like he said, I was an IV drug user for 19 years, in and out of incarceration my whole entire life, me and my brother. Grew up without a dad, severe alcoholic mom who basically wasn't there really much either. So we turned to the streets for basically the better half of our life. We started using at a very young age. I was homeless by 12, 13, 14, using periodically within that time. And got, pretty serious throughout my teenage years, with nobody really to turn to. So basically I used for about 19 years, had my daughter Deborah. That's when really everything started to change for us. We ended up going to Maddie's Place, well Deborah did, and we'd go there visiting. And like Sean was saying, they just wrapped us, with all the love that you could ever possibly imagine. They turned into a family to us. They've been here ever since. They've helped us get into a place. They've helped us with just get our life back on track, and with a ton of other families they've done for it too. And yeah, we wouldn't be here today without them at all. And this expansion is going to help us do that for, countless other families too. And I'm really excited about it. So thank you guys very much.
I'm Kayla Weinberger. I am the mother to Deborah. I'm probably going to cry because I get super emotional. But I struggled using once I hit 30. I used to have my life together, and then COVID hit, and I started using, and my life just totally fell apart. I had always wanted to be a mom, so when I finally did get pregnant with Deborah, and I was in my mix of using, I tried going to 3 different treatments, and every time I went back to the same environment, I went back to using. So she was born exposed. I was still using fentanyl. She got put on a hospital hold, and that's when they kicked us out, and we had our, what's it called? The court thing? I don't know, I forget the name of it, but your court date when your child's taken from you, and that was when it was offered to us to go to Maddie's Place. So she went there, and it took me a month after her being placed there to get into detox and sober. But in that time, knowing that she was being cared for, I could visit her. They were non-judgmental. They were there to support us. They put in the referral for our detox. They were helping us with anything we needed, whether it was housing or WIC, or just support in general. There's a gal at Katie Bunch who does the peer support there, and she just really wrapped around us with open arms and planted that seed for us to be a part of Maddie's Place down the road. And like, it has just grown over the year. And now we're a part of it. We're helping moms and dads out. And that's just such an amazing feeling to be able to give back to that community. And then working with the babies, it's just such a beautiful thing that we've got going there. And we're so thankful that you guys are there to support us. So yeah, that's my story.
Well, I just want to say congratulations to both of you. I mean, it's a pretty amazing story, and the fact that you get to be there and help other families as that, having gone through it, I think is so crucial and so key. And I know we're going to have other commissioners here speak, so you guys get to stay here for a little bit because it is such an important topic for all of us. I mean, we really just want to help. And if anyone hasn't toured Maddie's Place, you need to. The baby whispers that are there is pretty amazing. And so I'm going to let some other commissioners speak, though. Commissioner French.
I just want to compliment you on the journey you've taken and the courage it's taken to get you here. I know that it's been full of challenges, and you are a real testament to what is possible. And so thank you for setting a path for others to follow. And Sean, the whole Maddie's Place is just an incredible dream come true, to know that you've got a place that can take care of those that can't take care of themselves. And this is possible because of you and your commitment and you walk into the place and you can feel the love. And that's a tribute to what you've created there. So thank you. Thank you.
Commissioner Kurtz.
I'll echo everything that both my seatmates over here have mentioned. When my wife and I toured Maddie's Place, to this day, she still will mention about just what an amazing place it has been. And there's been individuals who she's spoken with who have relatives that are struggling, and she's passed on the word about Maddie's Place. And it's just, Commissioner French, I think, said it perfectly. You can feel the love when you come into a facility like that. And so it's, we're the ones that I think are honored to be able to help out with something like this, because you absolutely have a program and a facility that is working. There's a lot of stuff we do here that it's easy to say, a lot of the things we're doing, it's not changing the world. But when we're able to help a place like Maddie's Place, it changes the world for a lot of people. You guys do incredible work, and thank you for introducing us to Maddie's Place and really giving us the opportunity to help on something like this, because this is, like I said, this is the kind of thing that does change the world for a lot of people.
Commissioner Waldron.
Well, thank you very much for coming down, and thank you for sharing your story. It is really powerful. I did tear up, so I'm just so happy for you, and I'm happy that the county is able to support this really incredible, innovative program. And so, Sean, I got to interview you and Tricia, the neonatal nurse who has worked so hard to develop out this model of helping babies thrive. And I got to interview on the county spotlight. So if anyone wants to watch that show, I learned so much, and it's on the county website. But anyway, it's just been amazing seeing the growth. And I want to thank Justin for his leadership in trying to help navigate when you have an innovative new program. Sometimes there's folks that don't know where it fits into their funding. And so, I'm proud that we're able to fit into the funding and support it. Thank you.
Commissioner Jordan.
We're going all the way down the line today.
We are.
I just want to thank the parents for coming and sharing your story. I used to serve as an assistant attorney general working with Child Protective Services. So I've been at hundreds of those hearings that you talked about when there's a hospital hold or some crisis erupts, and it's a traumatic experience. And so your ability to stand before us today and talk about your kids and that experience is remarkable. Just wanted to thank Sean and the team at Maddie's Place for the incredible program that you have. I just think it's such a vital resource in the community. That parent-child bond, being safe and healthy in those early years, is so critical for ripple effects throughout life. And thank the board for recognizing that when we have our, we have opioid settlement dollars, which are where these funds are coming from, which involve the state being really active with litigation. And so we're fortunate to have this opportunity as the county where we have these dollars to spend to help make a difference. And I'm just appreciative that as the board has set its priorities for these dollars, we as a group have recognized the importance of prevention, upstream investments in children and families in particular. And just finally, a thank you to Justin and Ashley for all of your expertise making this happen and really being the kind of brains of the operation behind the scenes to lead us to this day. So thanks all around.
So with that, I said initially I wasn't going to take it separately, but I think we are going to take it separately and just go ahead and vote on this one individually. So I'll look to my fellow commissioners for a motion on 8B.
Madam Chair, I move to approve item 8B as presented by staff.
Second.
Okay, that is a tie today.
For the record.
I'm not going to debate which one on that one. So there's a motion and a second by two commissioners to approve item 8B on today's agenda. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Congratulations to Maddie's Place. So with that, then, I will look to my fellow commissioners for the rest of the agenda items.
Madam Chair, I move to approve items 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, including all sub-items, with the exception of 8B, because we already adopted it.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second for items 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, and all sub-items except 8B as presented on today's agenda. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion passes unanimously. I do apologize because even though it's not a proclamation and you guys have come down, I do feel like we should take a picture with all of you up here. So if you'd be willing to come up from Maddie's Place, we'll do that before I do our Section 9 public hearings. Yes, you can.
I just wanted to, I think I was remiss in not singing Justin's praises. He's remarkable. So I just want to say that, and Ashley too, and Jessica, and the entire team there has been extraordinary. And I've been watching them as they've got the public survey and looked at the needs in the community and matched that with what funding's already available. And he's remarkable. So I'm just really appreciative of you all, but also Justin Johnson. He's something else.
Thank you. No, he's our superstar. So No, thank you. Okay, so we do have other things that we do sadly have to do on our agenda today. So we are now down to section 9A, which is a public hearing in the matter of the annexation of property into Spokane County Fire Protection District number 13. And Mr. Amacio is going to be speaking to that.
Thank you, Madam Chair. For the record, my name is Jim Imacio. I'm a special deputy prosecuting attorney assigned to the Civil Division of the prosecuting attorney staff. It is my intent to very briefly brief the Board of County Commissioners on this particular item. As the Board of County Commissioners are aware, in the unincorporated areas of Spokane County, fire protection services are provided by fire protection districts. In conjunction with fire protection districts, there was a process available where property owners whose properties are not included within the fire protection district can petition to have their properties included within the boundaries. The obvious purpose of their wanting to be in the boundaries of a fire protection district is so they can receive fire protection services and emergency services. There are two methods which property owners can use to move into a fire protection district. One is the election method, and the other is the petition method. I'm having Mr. Valencia at the present time identify 6 properties which have petitioned to have their boundaries included within Fire Protection District number 13. State law provides that if a petition is submitted to a fire protection district and includes 60% of the owners of property within the proposed boundaries, that the fire protection district is required to hold a public hearing on that petition. If the fire protection district approves the annexation of those properties within the boundaries of the district, the fire protection district executes a resolution, and then they forward that resolution to the Board of County Commissioners. Under the state law, once you receive a copy of that petition, you are required to hold your own separate public hearing and make a separate determination as to whether or not the annexation of these properties is in the public interest and the interest of the property owners. In this particular case, Mr. Valencia has showed you 6 properties which are contiguous to Fire Protection District number 13, which desire to be incorporated into its boundaries. The 6 properties encompass approximately 151.44 acres. Upon receiving the petition, Fire Protection District number 13 held a public hearing on July 18th of this year, and they approved by resolution number 24-6 the annexation of these 151.44 acres within the boundaries of the district. The purpose of this particular hearing in front of the Board of County Commissioners is for the board to consider any public testimony with regard to the annexation of these 151.44 acres within the boundaries of the Fire Protection District. At the close of the public hearing, the board then by resolution and order will either agree with the annexation of the boundaries, or you do have the right under certain circumstances to reduce the boundaries. But to reduce the boundaries, you would have to make a finding that one of the 6 property owners would not benefit from the annexation into the district. So that's my presentation, Madam Chair. Unless the board has any other questions, I will turn it back over for the chair for public testimony.
Are there any questions for Mr. Amacio? No, I think you did a very, very thorough job, Mr. Amacio.
Thank you, Madam
very
Chair.
much. So this is a public hearing item. So I'll open it up for public hearing item number 9A as just presented by staff. I'm not seeing anyone in the audience. anyone online. Second call for anyone wishing to testify on item number 9A. Third and final call for anyone wishing to testify on item number 9A. Seeing no one in the audience and no one online, I will close the public testimony and I'll look to my fellow commissioners.
Madam Chair, I move that we approve the annexation of the property into Spokane County Fire Protection Number 13, identified as Strong Road and set forth in Spokane County Fire Protection District Resolution Number 2024-6.
Second, Gesundheit.
Yes. I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. That will then take us to item number 9B, to consider the adoption of the 2024 amended annual road construction transportation improvement program, better known as TIP, for the Spokane County Public Works Department. Mr. Zarecor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I'd like to talk to you a little bit about our amended annual construction program. This is required under state law. It's an opportunity for us to reconcile our construction program from what we originally anticipated before the start of the year to what we currently are building, now that we have a better handle on where projects are at. Next slide. So this first slide is breaking our projects out by category, and you can see here we spend about $8.7 million on urban projects. This year, 13.2 were spent on rural projects. A large part of that was Bigelow Gulch, which we'll talk about in a moment. About $1.5 million on pathway projects, 1.6 on traffic safety, 4.7 on bridges, and about 300,000 on stormwater, for a total project of about $30 million for our total program. Next slide. This is just breaking our funding out by source. And you can see out of a $30 million program, only about $4.4 million of it is county money. And we always like to showcase this a little bit. We have a team that works very, very hard to go and chase funding, and they do a great job. As you can see here, that's about 85%. So that's a really great ratio. Oftentimes, it's not unusual to be more around 60 to 70%. So that's really a tribute to our team going out and getting those dollars. And the support of our board, I should add, too. We have a lot of board members on different transportation boards, and that certainly helps us out. Next slide. So I'd like to spend just 1 minute on the major projects for 2024. The obvious big one is the completion of the Bigelow Gulch corridor. And this goes from Palmer to Wiley. This was the most expensive phase. We kind of saved the best for last. It had a lot of rock work and a lot of excavation. It's about $7.1 million, and it will be completed this fall. The 57th and Freya roundabout is a new roundabout. It was $1.5 million. That project's largely complete, as is the Freya preservation. And that was a grind and inlay project. That was preservation money that we were pleased to get. Hatch Road is also winding down, which is a good thing. It's been a little challenging for the neighborhood, so we're pleased to be getting that one wrapped up. Should be paving towards the end of the month. Brooks Road is paved out. It's got substantial completion. Physical completion will follow later this month. Harvard Road is also complete, and that's been a good project for us. We're happy to get that core of the project built, and we'll continue on with phase 2 in the next year or two. And last but not least, Little Spokane Bridge. It was a bridge replacement, $3.8 million, and that's going to finish up in 2025. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions and respond to any public testimony.
Are there any questions for Mr. Zarecor? No. Okay, so this is a public hearing item, 9B, to consider the adoption of the 2024 amended annual road construction transportation improvement program for the Spokane County Public Works Department. Anyone wishing to testify can come down. Second call for anyone wishing to testify. I'm seeing no one in the audience and no one online. Third and final call for anyone wishing to testify. Okay, seeing no one, I will close the public testimony and look to my fellow commissioners.
Madam Chair, I move that we approve public hearing item number 9B and adopt the 2024 amended annual road construction transportation improvement program, the TIP, for Spokane County Public Works Department.
Second.
I have a motion and a second for item number 9B. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes unanimously. That will then take us to item number 9C on today's agenda, which is to consider the establishment of Bigelow Gulch Road, County Engineers Road File Number 3760 and 2366 for the Spokane County Public Works Department. Mr. Zarecor.
Thank you again, Commissioner. So as stated, this first public hearing is to establish the portion of Bigelow Gulch that's currently being built. So we're a little bit ahead of it, but folks won't be driving on it till we complete it anyway. So wanted to be timely and get it established. You can see the section in red is the portion we're talking about. We say from Palmer to Wiley, but you can see it extends a little further to the west to the connection from the previous phase. And next slide, please. This is just a little foreshadowing. The yellow line is the new alignment, and you can see we took a lot of road out of the picture, the steep and winding road that was very unsafe. We had a lot of very serious accidents, including a number of fatalities over the years, is being taken offline, but portions of it will need to remain, and we'll entertain in the next public hearing the renaming of those portions of the road. But for now, we're just establishing the portion in yellow, and happy to answer any questions.
Any discussion or any questions for Mr. Zarecor? Seeing none. Thank you. Then I will open up the testimony for item number 9C on today's agenda. I'm not seeing anyone in the audience or anyone online.
Are you saying 9C or D?
9C is in cat. Anyone wishing to testify on item number 9C? Okay, seeing no one online and no one in the audience, third and final call for anyone wishing to testify on item number 9C. That is the next item on our agenda, 9D, and I do have two people who are signed up for item number 9D as in David. Okay, so seeing no one else wishing to testify on item number 9C, I will close the public testimony and look to my fellow commissioners.
Madam Chair, I move that we approve public hearing item number 9C, which is consider the establishment of Bigelow Gulch Road, County Engineer Road File number 3760 and 2366 for the Spokane County Public Works Department.
Second.
Okay, I'm not choosing. I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Aye, motion passes unanimously. That will then take us to item number 9D on today's agenda, which is in the matter of a road name change, Wiley Avenue to Bigelow Gulch Road, Bigelow Gulch Road to Newton Road, Bigelow Gulch Road to Lancer Road, and Bigelow Gulch Road to SB Road, thank you. County Engineers Road File number 3760 and 2366 for the Spokane County Public Works Department. Mr. Zarecor.
Thank you again, Commissioner. So as advertised, this portion, this public hearing is regarding the name changes that are needing to take place as a result of the realignment of Bigelow. And you can see each color up there represents a portion of the old Bigelow Gulch alignment that's going to get a new name to facilitate keeping Bigelow Gulch as Bigelow Gulch. And I'll spend just a minute on the process, just because I'm hearing people here are interested, so I'll just say that for everybody's edification. But the way we go about this is when we need to rename a section of road, we reach out to emergency services and they coordinate with us, and the criteria is it has to be a new name that is unique in the county. They don't want any duplication, the concern being if somebody calls in with an emergent situation, if there's two sections of road with the same name that are different alignments, they would have a challenging time getting to them, especially when they're intersections and not addresses. So that's the criteria they use. These names were kind of winnowed out through the names that were available. And from there, we obviously go out and start contacting people regarding the change of address, and we'll work through that process with them. We're empathetic to people's concerns. As you might imagine, it's not very fun to have your address changed, all your bills, all your parcels, all you people that you know that send you Christmas cards or anything else. All that has to change, and it's a lot of work and a lot of effort. We don't take it lightly, but by the same token, a change in alignment like this necessitates the need to rename roads, which changes people's addresses. And I'll be available to answer any questions.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Mr. Zarakor? Seeing none at this point. So then I will open up the public testimony for item number 9D. I do have two people that have signed up, so I will call you up. Tim Roberts, if you would come up. You're going to decline? Okay, thank you. And then Karen Sprague. And Mrs. Sprague, as you come up, you have 3 minutes, and if you would start with your name and address for the record.
There's been a lot of discussion on our Facebook page with the group, and the main question is, why can't it be Old Bigelow, just like the old section of Argonne became Old Argonne? If it can't be Old Bigelow for some reason, why can't it be Orchard Prairie Road from the new intersection down to Orchard Prairie? That's the name of the area. It's Orchard Prairie. That's the name of the school, Orchard Prairie School, the oldest continuous running school in the state of Washington. And it's a name that's familiar to all of us. Where Lancer Road comes from is a complete mystery. That has no historical reference, nothing that is anything significant to our area. The naming of it to Espy Road, Mr. Espy was a pioneer in that area, and it makes some sense, but to most of us, either Old Bigelow for that section or Orchard Prairie Road. That's all I have.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to testify on item number 9D? You're welcome to come down. We will need you to fill out a slip of paper before you leave today. And again, if you could state your name and address for the record, and you have 3 minutes.
Name and address?
Yes.
Janet Miller, and address is 7009 Bigelow Gulch.
Go ahead.
And I've had concerns about the name too. I don't understand why the entire Bigelow can't have, Old Bigelow can't have it's the same name. But I understand that the fire department has some, but Espy, if you know what Espy looks like, it's a dirt road. It comes up to where Bigelow curves. Why would you suddenly take an old gravel road and make it continuation of a nice paved curve road which curves away? I don't know, and why would you change the name right in the middle of the road? So whatever is beyond Espy toward the west should be the same as what's on Espy toward the east. And since Old Bigelow Gulch is not going to work, maybe the community can come up with the name. Orchard Prairie school students are really smart. They might come up with one that suits. There's an old grange there at Espy. It was built in 1900. A church. It still has Sunday services. The Grange rents the building out for weddings, funerals, graduations, birthdays, all kinds of things. Arts and crafts sales are there. When they tell the people where to go and they give them a name, it needs to resonate with them, or they're going to say, "Where's that?" And we're going to say, "Oh, well, that's Old Bigelow." So Lancer's an old Mitsubishi car, or it's somebody with a weapon that wants to get you. Get something, name it after a bird if you have to, but something that we can use. But I really, but the entire stretch from the Lancer and the Espy, I think should all be one name. Thanks.
Thank you. Mr. Zarakor, would you like to come back up? I guess I'm going to wait till after I close the public hearing, and then I'll have you speak to it. Is there anyone else that would like to testify on item number 9D? See no one online, no one else in the audience. Third and final call for anyone wishing to testify on item number 9D. Seeing no one else, I will close the public testimony, and I'll ask Mr. Zarecor if he would like to come back up so we could ask a few more questions. I'm going to, Commissioner Kearns first. It's his. Oh, okay. Okay, I'm going to just make sure the commissioners get all their questions answered first. So Commissioner French, and then I'll go back down.
So I'm intrigued by the testimony, and can you, I think you addressed it with regard to the new names can't resemble the old names because you don't want to confuse fire trucks and emergency response folks, and I get that. But does adding the term old to the Bigelow Gulch address that or not? That's one question. And then the other question is the reference to Otis Prairie. I think that's Orchard Prairie. At least gives some local identity to the road and stuff. And so does that have any merit from your standpoint, or was there part of a conversation that you said, no, we're not going to go there? So those are my two questions.
Sure, yeah, happy to answer it. Appreciate the opportunity. So with Bigelow Gulch and the old Bigelow Gulch, we went through this previously, not too distant past, with Barker, where we tried to rename it to Old Barker Road, and it ended up being Rodeo Drive, if you remember. And the challenge being, again, if they don't want any piece of the name inside the new name. And that's an emergency services thing, and it's just to gain clarity and make sure that emergency services, when they're dispatched, get to the right spot. There's actually a number of conditions on the road naming. For expediency, I didn't get into all of them, but that is one of their criteria, and that hasn't really changed. And I think everybody agrees that public safety concern is pretty real. Regarding Espy versus Orchard Prairie, I would agree that the Orchard Prairie name is a little more descriptive of the area and the community, which has value. I believe the rationale here, I was not directly in those conversations, but you can see the blue portion of Espy more or less runs north-south, and then Espy itself continues on more north-south. These roads are challenging because they curve, and they don't truly go one way or the other. But that, I believe, was the rationale for why it was Espy and a continuation of Espy. And, you know, Orchard Prairie, it could continue on and be Orchard Prairie, but it gets pretty east-west through that section, and they try and avoid roads having multiple orientations. You know, it's really challenging when you're dealing with existing winding roads, but that's what I believe the reason they got to the point they did with the road naming. And then Lancer, the majority of it and the addressing is probably an east-west addressing system.
Commissioner Jordan.
So is that Orchard Prairie Road that currently goes north-south?
That's correct, and it runs up on top, and it's one of the main roads through Orchard Prairie.
So where does Lancer come from?А does that process work?
Zero idea. I am positive it does not duplicate itself somewhere else in the county, but whether there was a rationale or behind it, I wasn't part of the emergency services conversation where they came up with that name. We could certainly look into it.
Are we under any time pressure for this decision?
I mean, we want to give people the opportunity to complete their readdressing because that will take some time. And once Bigelow's open, we'd like it to have clarity as soon as possible. And the advertising for these public hearings, it means we're a month or two out realistically. But, you know, it really is up to the board. I would tell you that if we wanted to, we could revisit it. The other challenge that's probably obvious to the board is you start putting these things out for public suggestion, and you're going to make a lot of people very unhappy in my experience. There is almost never a consolidation of thought on where we should go with road naming. We actually mailed out letters to all the impacted parties along Barker, and I think it created more turmoil in the neighborhood than it solved. They were very upset when they didn't get their vote for the road name that they wanted. And it did not feel like a win to them or to us. So that's the challenge with trying to come up with a road name. I like the idea of Orchard Prairie. I wonder if it will be universally accepted or just create additional challenges. And I don't pretend to know the answer to that.
Yeah.
Yes. Matt, just looking at, so I assume part of why Orchard Prairie, as it comes to the proposed Lancer, I assume Lancer has the right of way. Or does Orchard Prairie?
Well, currently,
Who would have to come
Lancers
to a
Bigelow.
stop? then? Yeah,
Currently,
so-
Lancers Bigelow Gulch.
So
unless
I
we
assume
change-
that's not going to change to where Orchard Prairie has the free movement through and Lancer would stop, because we're not discussing any addition of stop signs.
Yeah,
And I
correct.
assume, I mean, correct?
Correct.
So that would sort of, I guess, explain why Orchard Prairie doesn't continue through and just take the name all the way down to what will be the new Bigelow, is because of the flow of traffic.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. You know, we currently, SB comes down and stops into what is now Bigelow, and, you know, again, I think they were just trying to keep north-south addressing the same and just change the road name that people were adhered to. But that's just my suspicion based upon how they named the roads.
I will say, I guess for me, yeah, it's difficult because, you know, with Barker and the new names, I mean, I got a lot of constituents that were not happy with the new name when that happened with Barker. And I know it's the fire districts, you know, and our emergency services that are really trying hard to make sure that those things happen. But I guess I am sympathetic to the neighbors that are trying to have something that resembles what they would like in their neighborhood.
Yeah.
So if we, yeah, which isn't an easy process. And so when do we anticipate the new alignment of Bigelow to open? The end of October?
They'll be substantially complete by early October.
And so we'll be moving everybody off, you know, at that point.
Yeah, we'll be opening it, and at that time, it would be nice to have the addressing and the road naming put in place, but it's not absolutely critical. It's one of those things we'd like to do as soon as possible. And I guess the only other thing I would add is if we were to change some portion of this to Orchard Prairie, realistically, we're only talking about the portion from Wiley, you know, from the new intersection down towards the east end at Wiley to Orchard Prairie. You know, the rest of the alignment will need to be something else anyway, because we can't have Orchard Prairie going both ways from that intersection.
Correct. So it basically, if you took Orchard Prairie and you went towards SB.
Yeah, to the east. You could
down to the old
potentially
new
extend it
alignment.
back to the new intersection with Bigelow, but that would be the largest extent that you can
Yeah.
use on Orchard Prairie, and the rest of it will have to have some other name, whether it's Lancer or something else. And I can tell you there's quite a process to this road naming. It's a lot of discussion on a lot of people's part.
Okay.
I'd be open to that.
I was just going to say, Madam Chair, if we could, what's the process if we were to keep the hearing open for more discussion on this, just for a few weeks? I just don't know what that public notice looks like. So I'm sensitive to
Yes.
that the road is opening.
Keeping in mind also, if potentially we go with different names, since this hearing was noticed for these names, if there were name changes to what was noticed, yeah, I guess, yeah.
We're looking to our attorney to
Certainly.
provide some
Yes.
insight.
Keeping the hearing open would simply require a motion to then change the name. Off the cuff, I'm going to say we probably need some new notice, but exactly what that would look like, I don't know, because I don't know that we've done that before, or if we have, it's been a while. So we'll have to look into the exact procedure on if there's a name change, but if the board today simply wants to keep this open, then a motion to continue would effectively do that.
Okay, and if we do a motion to continue, can we amend the resolution?
Yes, regardless of that, it can be amended. Between now and then, we will have to look into the exact procedure on how to affect that.
Okay.
Madam Chair.
Commissioner Jordan.
Just asking for maybe legal feedback on if there was a motion to continue this hearing for 1 week if the board was to be briefed in the morning next Tuesday. I'd just appreciate a briefing on what that process looks like for naming roads, because I don't understand it. So I don't really feel prepared to make a decision until I know how it works in every case, right? Which I just don't know right now. So would we be able to continue this for 1 week and then make a decision in the morning or next week whether we either amend it or do a new notice after that?
Yes, you certainly could. I do not know if in a week's time there was a decision to change the names, if we could then have that come before the board for approval next week, because there may be some, again, to the notice provisions, that may extend the process. Matt may be more familiar with this than I am, so I don't know if he knows off the cuff some of that information.
Yeah, and I would suggest, we're happy to prepare a briefing and share that with the board, just so everybody understands how the road naming happens, and then some of the details of how this road naming came about. And also, I guess I would just like to emphasize that I believe we have time. If it's the desire of the board to have a little additional time, be briefed, and then make a further decision, even if that means we re-advertise, we can do that. We may not have all the names in place when Bigelow opens, but frankly, they've lagged by far more than we're talking about here on occasion.
Can I ask, from a logistical or a process standpoint, I'm just going to throw out potentially, if we are preferring new names to what has been presented, is it easier for us to vote down item 9D and start fresh rather than trying to amend an existing resolution? Do we just somehow get rid of the current one and start from scratch rather than amending? So that if there is going to be a notice requirement anyway, is it easier to just start clean?
We may end up just starting clean, but the board does not need to vote this down in order to do that. We could strike this hearing, and that would end this process, and then we could restart the process as far as the new notice.
Yeah, just a second. So I'm just trying to think through how to do this versus striking it. If we, yeah. We have a motion in a second, so we have to do some.
There's been no motion. No one's made a motion.
Oh, yeah, we have not made a motion yet.
If we just don't make a motion, then nothing happens with it, right? It essentially dies due to lack of a motion, same as a motion would die due to a lack of a second.
It would need to be brought back.
But we don't have to set a time to bring it back then.
No, not today. It would, I mean, if the board takes no action on to either continue or make a final, take a final vote on this matter, then yes, it would likely be the same effect as being struck. We would need to renotice the hearing in order to bring it back before the board for future action, whether there's a new name or not. If the board were to continue it, we would not need to renotice everything if there were no name changes being contemplated in the future, would be the benefit to the continuance versus no action.
Or potentially, based on further investigation, we could amend the motion in the future for a new name.
Correct.
Okay, I think I would suggest I'd be okay with 2 weeks, but I will look to my fellow commissioners. Commissioner French.
So we are going to open up Bigelow Gulch on what day?
There's not a date yet. They're
Not a
in
date
the
yet.
midst of paving, so, we picture 3 or 4 weeks at the soonest.
Okay, because the other thing that I'm thinking about is, as you indicated, the addresses are critical for emergency response. And if there's confusion from responders, then the fact that we delayed, does that then create liability for the county? And I don't know that, but I'm just, unintended consequences can always be uncomfortable and stuff. So do you think that we've got enough time to be able to take some additional time for consideration and be timely with regard to getting names out on the road so that we can have emergency responders responding to the right addresses?
Yeah, I mean, it is a valid point. If there was an emergent situation after we have Bigelow open and people were using their old addresses, we arguably are going to have multiple, because there's new approaches coming down to the new big alignment of Bigelow that may have similar, the same addresses as the ones that are on the old alignment of Bigelow. And until we iron this out, there won't be clarity on that. And you know what I know, Commissioner, we wake up with liability and go to sleep with it. So we never get away from it, but that's definitely a concern and why we'd like to be reasonably expeditious in getting this done.
So whatever we do, need to do it in a timely fashion so that we avoid unintended consequences.
Yes, I just looked at the calendar, and from today, it would be 7 weeks till the last Tuesday of October. Commissioner Jordan.
I would like to move to continue consideration of this hearing 2 weeks.
I have a motion and a second to move the continuation of this hearing for 2 weeks. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. We will continue this hearing for 2 weeks.
Yeah, and we'll provide the briefing materials before Tuesday.
Okay.
Okay.
And then I guess I would suggest that if anyone in the audience would like to reach out to you to discuss any other thoughts.
Yeah, our staff is always available, absolutely.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, so with that, that motion is delayed for 2 weeks. I would ask any citizens that would like to reach out to Mr. Zarecor with our County Roads Department, as well as it's Commissioner Kearns' district, so I'm going to, let you reach out to Commissioner Kearns or any of us. With that, then, we did have one item that we continued from this morning that was a miscellaneous item, which was a letter of support that was being asked for us for a grant. I don't have that letter. You have it, okay. So there were some questions from the commissioners that we had, and so with this letter of support that was being asked for, it was what the grant opportunities were, and that the sheriff's office and our prosecutor's office were also asking for grants from this same granting agency for this particular item, and it's supposed to be a competitive grant. So do we have further answers for us?
We do. Heather Arnold has looked into some of the questions that the commissioners has asked this morning and has some clarity for all of you.
Very good. Heather, thank you for coming.
Thank you. So good afternoon. This particular application is federal awards that have flowed through the State Department of Commerce. There's only just over $1 million available. Maximum application is $150,000. Both the sheriff's office and prosecutor's office are submitting applications for $150,000. Sheriff's office is for a robotic technology, which is under the technology or the community safety enhancement, and prosecutor's office is seeking new computer hardware. So that's under their technology improvement. Assuming that most people are going to submit a $150,000 application, being that that's not that much money, you're looking at only 7 applications in the state. Any state government entity can apply, any local government entity can apply. However, community entities and nonprofits can only apply with a letter of support from a local government entity.
Okay, and I'm going to do one clarification. So I think earlier this morning we said it was $1 million across the nation. It's just across the state.
Correct.
Okay, just for clarification. Okay. Okay, and within that grant, I guess one of the other questions was, is there different categories that the funds are coming from? And did this Department of Commerce divide the money between those categories? Or is it just one big pot?
It's one big pot. It's the same pot of funds that they use and priorities that they use for our regular JAG funds, but this is just for innovative new programs.
Okay. Commissioner Jordan.
Do we know if any other, like the city's police department or other local government agencies are applying? Are you aware?
I am not aware.
I was just thinking maybe the group could get a letter from a different local government agency that's not also applying, because it looked like all they needed was a letter.
Correct.
From
Any
a
local government.
Right. Okay. But we don't know the answer to that.
We do not.
Okay.
Yeah, and I believe the letter that I received, the deadline is next Monday.
Correct, the 16th is when the applications have
Yeah.
to be submitted.
So yeah, that'll make it tight for them to get it from another agency, so.
I also understand that the YWCA has submitted a letter, a request for a letter of support to the prosecutor's office. So we would have two entities requesting a letter of support, which would be competing applications.
I know. Just for people's understanding today, this morning when we discussed this, which is on our, the meeting was recorded and on our YouTube channel now, or up on YouTube. We discussed that it's since it's limited funds and we have two departments within Spokane County, it's hard to then start to go outside and have each of them compete when we know we have those needs internally. So I'm just stating that for the public to know that that's part of our dilemma as we process this. Commissioner Waldrop and then Commissioner Kearns.
I was just gonna, so thanks Heather for digging in and getting us a little more information. I appreciate that. So you said that like the YW is reaching out. So is the prosecutor's office considering providing a letter of support for that nonprofit request?
My understanding is the prosecutor's office intent was to tell them that if they wanted to request a letter, they needed to forward it to the board.
Oh, I see. Okay, another letter coming our way. I know, thank you. It's challenging because, it sounds like it's going to be a very competitive process. So,
Yes.
in the big scheme of things, I'm not sure if we did provide a nonprofit a letter of support, they're going to have to compete with everyone about if their project is, I guess, innovative enough. So, we may not see any funding come to Spokane County because it sounds pretty competitive.
There were multiple questions that related to submitting multiple applications from the same entity, and it said you could allow, that was allowed. So I suspect we will see multiple entities submitting multiple applications.
Commissioner Kearns.
Yeah, no, I completely, Commissioner Waldrop said it's a challenging situation. We now know of two very worthy nonprofits here in the community, but I'm not trying to discount the work they do incredible work, but like I said this morning, I don't think it's in our best interest as a county to essentially be competing against, working against ourselves. These are two very important departments here at the county, the Sheriff's Department and the Prosecutor's Department. So I think it would sort of understandable, I would hope, by these organizations that we know they do good work, but at the same time, we do represent the county. These are two of our departments, and I think that's probably the direction we need to go, is supporting the county ask rather than these two organizational asks.
I would agree with that, and I think the lesson for us on this one is that if nonprofits if we have these type of grants in the future, because we've not come, since I've been commissioner, we haven't had this kind of situation before me anyway, that we need those organizations to come to us a lot sooner and actually come and present in front of us, not just request a letter, so that way we can really understand what is being asked and we can ensure that other departments aren't doing that. And then too, we can look at it from a commissioner standpoint to look at what the different asks are, and I guess we start to self-select ourselves. But we don't have enough time to do that on this with that, but I think that's one of the lessons to be learned from this situation. Okay, thank you. I appreciate you looking into this and getting us the information.
Not a problem.
Okay, so there will be, go ahead,
Can I
Commissioner
do
Jordan.
one very brief miscellaneous?
Yes.
Is that okay?
Okay, I'm just going to conclude this by saying that there isn't a motion.
No.
So we won't be signing a letter.
I just wanted to, if I could real briefly, let the board know, I think we talked about the working families tax credit question this morning about raising the word about that. I just was asked to reach out to Launch Northwest, and the good news is that the engagement navigators that they have hired that will be working in the schools are being trained on this tomorrow by city staff. So that's great because it's showing that entities that we are supporting as the county with our rescue plan dollars are doing the work, coordinating with the city, and they have good direct connections with the school districts to get the word out about that. So that's the report back.
Very good. And just since we are in a new public meeting, would you like to state what that tax, or what that
Sure.
rebate is?
Sure. For the tens and tens watching, as Commissioner Kearns says, just want to make people aware that there is a relatively new state program available for certain families that have lower or medium incomes. You can apply to the state through the Department of Revenue. You can get up to $1,200 potentially back in effectively a sales tax refund or rebate, depending on your eligibility. And it sounds like in Spokane County last year there were about, I think, 12,000 families that received that tax credit, which brought in multi-millions of dollars back to the community and people's pockets, which is a good thing. But there were potentially about 18,000 families who are eligible for the credit but did not apply. So it's a different process than you would typically do to fill out your tax returns. With the federal government, you apply to the State Department of Revenue. So there are some eligibility requirements on that from the state, but just wanting to raise awareness and let people know that if that sounds like something you may benefit from, it is available through the Department of Revenue.
When's the deadline?
I'm not sure.
My question was, and there's some sort of deadline, so we can get that information out. But the idea behind it is just getting the word out so families know that they have to go to a different place to file this, to file for these dollars as compared to where you file your federal taxes. But it's a good opportunity, and the city did reach out, just inviting the county to help with getting that information out in the community.
Thank you. Are there any other items to come before the Board of County Commissioners? I will look to Mr. Simmons or Mr. Anderson.
Nothing for me.
Nothing for me either.
Okay. Then that concludes our meeting for today. We are adjourned. We need to sign some documents, and I want to thank you all very much for being here today.